What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Speaking Sessions podcast. I got Kayvon Kay here. He is the mastermind behind sales strategies that don't just work, but revolutionize. Growing up in a tough town, he didn't just overcome obstacles, he used them as a stepping stone to greatness, training over 30,000 sales professionals and skyrocketing a business to $38 million swiftly. Kayvon makes sales exciting, authentic, and above all, highly effective. And in today's episode, we are going to dive into practical tips so you can learn how to communicate intricate ideas as well as non-intricate ideas effectively to your team and in sales conversations. But before we get into all that, Kayvon, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. So glad to have you here. It's always interesting to see people in different parts of the world, different sides of the country, if you will. Obviously, you're in Canada, but still there on the West Coast, part of North America, the continent, and everything. So it's always good to have different, unique perspectives of people. So give us a breakdown. I mean, 38 million, is that US dollars or is that Canadian
well, that was actually
dollars?
that was US dollars. That was an interesting time. That was in 2018, 19. And that was, I tell people in business, sometimes it comes down, and we know this, it comes down to sometimes just the right message, the right offer, the right time, and a little luck. And all those things kind of lined up for us. So essentially what we did was the whole business was built off, it was a training program around sales and how to become a high ticket closer. So there was this world that a lot of people do not, and knowing your more of your space, I bet you there's a lot of people listening that don't know the world that I live in, which is called this high ticket space. And it's basically coaches, consultants, service providers. When you think of influencers, you think of all these people selling you how to, or this will make you that, and whatever it might be, business opportunity, business improvement. There's a world where these influencers and these coaches have high ticket offers. High ticket, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $25,000, $50,000. And this is basically for knowledge or access or business services. And they drive leads, qualified leads, to a book call. Those book calls, usually people think they're actually speaking to the team of, these influencers, but they're actually outsourced or sometimes in-house sales reps. And that's our expertise. So I was showing everyday people who wanted to make an extra $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $25,000 a month, how they can do this, from their laptop, not having to build an Amazon store, figure out how to do affiliate marketing, or do all these things as a business owner. So I always called it like an entrepreneur. So you have all the luxury of an entrepreneur, but you don't have the pains of the entrepreneur. And thus you're kind of an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And so we created, we showed a select few people of this. And we started working with them, and they started getting the same results that I got. Like now, previous to doing this, I was a failed business owner. You failed many times, right? Like I've failed, I don't even know how many times now. But I was at that point, I was a failed business owner trying to figure it out. And then I had a mentor who said, "Hey, you're not a marketer right now. You're a salesperson. Go be a salesperson." And then he pointed me in the direction of high ticket sales. And because of my sales background, within 30 days, I was earning $25,000 a month.
Wow.
I went from like running teams, trying to figure out how to do marketing, Facebook ads, funnels, email marketing, integration, systems, operate, like all that stuff, burning money, burning to nothing, and just picking up the phone, having 45-minute conversations and getting paid handsomely for it. So next thing you know, he said, "Do you think we can teach that?" To which I said, "Hell yeah, we can." And little did we both know, 18 months later, we had done over $38 million. We did $8 million in 1 hour we had a big live event where we had about 300-400 people show up, and we did our, a pitch there, $30,000 offer live from stage. And, that was about $8 million. We had at that point 15,000 students. It was wildfire. But as anything happens, when you grow that fast, you scale too fast like that, and you don't have the infrastructure, and the most important, you as the business owner and the leader are not ready for that type of success, you'll do everything you can to burn it, crash it, and blow it up. And that's kind of what happened. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, incredible story there. We're not going to talk about the downfall of the business, so to speak, if you will, but this whole high ticket sales things. I know I've heard that. There's probably been other people. I appreciate you saying, 5, 10, obviously a lot of money. I would say probably about 5,000. Where's that threshold, if you will, where people start talking about high ticket sales?
I would
Anything
say,
below that, maybe not.
Yeah, no. I mean, some people might talk about high ticket sales at $2,500. That one to me, it's an interesting one because at $2,500, you got to ask the question is, can I sell that without a salesperson or can I sell it with a salesperson? $5,000, there's only a 1% of the people that know how to create the authority for themselves, create the awareness, create the trust, the authenticity that someone's actually willing to take their credit card out for $5,000 over a webinar. But it's done, and I've seen it done, but very little. So usually around that, I would say 3, 4, 5 grand is when you're going to involve a sales team, a setter, a closer, something, right?
Yeah.
Someone actually that gets into the sales process. I'll just say that.
Gotcha. Okay. Thanks for clarifying that and kind of setting the stage there. So when we talk about, and we don't normally say low ticket sales, so just sales versus high ticket sales.
Yeah.
What is like that one distinguishing factor? If you could say one thing that differentiates a high ticket salesperson from a non-high ticket salesperson?
Well, there's many, but if I were to say the difference is a high ticket closer or salesperson, let's call them, understands the human psychology, understands what the sale really is. And the sale isn't me pushing you. It's not Jordan Belfort's straight line system. It's not sitting there, used car salesman style, the 80s style salesperson. It actually is the most important. It comes from a consultative selling. So it comes from the ideology that there is a pain that my prospect has, and there is a promised land they want to go to. And my job as a salesperson is to guide them from the pain, first discover the pain and go deep into that pain, and then bridge them to what that I call it the promised land, but people call it the future state, right? To the future state of what the ideal, what success looks like that to them, and then connects them to the value that you can bring. Now, normal salespeople are going to sell features and benefits. Real closers, real connectors, real leaders, they don't sell features and benefits. They sell the outcome. They say the result of. Even as a leader, you're always selling. Here's the thing. In life, you're either selling or someone's selling you. Another way I say this, in life, everything you want is a sale. Everything you get, your commission. It's just up to you how you like to look at it. So
I like that.
Leaders, you're always selling. You're selling your ideas. You're selling your vision. You're selling the mission. You're selling the impact. Every single day, you are selling your people on leading them. And now you have this terminology called selling, and that's the problem. Is the word selling has this negative connotation to it. It's almost disgusting. It's like it's become this word that's icky and gross and grotesque, right? But the reality is that's what you're doing. So if you don't like to say selling, you can say influencing. Yeah. If you don't like the word influencing, you can say impacting.
So talk to us through this psychology here. And I agree with you there that you got to get used to it is selling. We're selling ourselves, especially as leaders. We're selling ourselves when we're selling a product, really, at the end of the day, because people have to trust in us to pull out that credit card, whether it's $10 or $10,000. They are still trusting us because, hey, we could just take the money and never deliver anything. But talk to us about that psychology. And I want to put some context here. People, and I've been guilty of this, saying this myself, that, well, it's easier to say, let's say a deck that costs $10,000 versus a coaching program that costs $10,000, because the deck, when it's done, you can see that. When you're selling a coaching program, you don't see something physically most of the time, unless if it's fitness coaching, then obviously there's that physical aspect there. But like my speaking coaching or business coaching or even sales coaching, you don't see it. So there's nothing there tangible to hold. So a lot of times, and again, I've been guilty of saying this, well, it's easier to sell something that's tangible versus the pixie dust thing, so to speak, non-tangible selling. So talk to us about the psychology behind that we can get out of that way of ourselves. And
I love it. And first, I would go against you. I think it's harder to sell physical products than it is to sell digital and services. because I know the end result, right? So an end result of a deck, okay, a deck is great. You see it, but then what happens? What do you get from it? Nothing. It just sure, okay, maybe adds a little value to the house, but after time, what do you get from it? You actually got a pain in the ass. Now you got to restain that deck. You got to take care of that deck. Sure, after a while, it is just like when you buy a new car. After a year, you don't give a shit anymore. You're over it. You want the next car, right? So for me, the deep psychology, what you're really asking is this, and I'll just go right to it: is people don't buy products. People are not buying services. They're not buying the next greatest gadget. People buy one thing, and it is a better version of themselves. So even when they buy that deck, they're not buying that deck because they want to sit on that and get the sun. That's like the surface level shit that most salespeople try to sell on. What they're actually buying is a better version of themselves. They're buying the fact that now they have this deck. That deck makes them feel like they're a better person, like they have something to show to their friends. It's all about their deepest desires, their ego, all of that, right? Emotional. And that's why people will buy on emotion and then they think about it on logic. They justify on logic.
Man.
So
go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, so when you say the deep psychology is very simple, is people are buying a better version of themselves. So when you talk about these services, pixie dust, well, if it's pixie dust to you, it's going to be pixie dust to them. I want to be very clear on that. And I know you're saying that lightly, but it's very important that whether you're a leader, whether you're a salesperson, you're a business owner, you are a direct reflection of the results. The results you get are a direct reflection of you on the inside. Meaning, if you have a belief that you're not good enough, or your service isn't good enough, or you have a belief that no one wants your service, or you have this belief that it's not better than your competitors, your prospects will believe that too. Your people will believe that too. And they will all project that out to the world, out to the energy of the world, and then you'll never get what you actually want and wonder why it's not about the marketing, it's not about the words, it's not about how great your product or great your features is. It all comes down to the belief, because your beliefs will dictate your actions, and those actions will dictate energy. And the energy is everything in sales. Sales is a direct reflection of transference of energy and connection.
So true. And I actually recorded, this has probably been about a month ago or so, an episode talking about confidence creates, or your confidence shows your competence. And so I think it's the same thing in sales. If you are confident in your product, there's an automatic just assumption of the competence or the capabilities of whatever that product or service will provide then, because of your confidence in that product. And same thing with speaking. If you come up confidently, you could be spitting out lies left and right. We kind of joked about the recent debate and everything. Yeah. But because of the confidence that they put behind that message, there's still people that believe that message.
I always say this to people who are starting out speaking, because I've done a lot of speaking coaching myself, and I've been, done a lot of speaking myself. And one of the things I always say, you go to the best conference you've ever gone to, the best speak you've ever gone to. I always ask them, tell me the top 3 things you remember they taught you. They taught me leadership. Oh, really? Oh, okay. What else? To be a good leader. No, they didn't teach you anything. You know what they did? They made you feel fucking good. That's what they did. People ever go to, I don't know if you know, but people go to Tony Robbins events and you're like, oh, what did you learn? And they come back and they'll be like, I learned everything. Like I learned everything. I feel so fucking good. Yeah. You feel great, because that's what he does. He makes you feel really good. But what did you actually learn? Yeah. And why am I saying this? Is because it's not about your content on stage. It's about the emotion you give people when you're on stage. Remember, people will never forget. Like, they'll never remember what you say. People say, oh, they'll remember how you say it. No. People don't remember what you say or how you say it. The platinum rule is people will always remember how you made them feel. Again, emotional. Goes back to the emotion. Yeah. So on these calls that I have that are selling pixie dust, I love that you said that, so I'm going to keep bringing that up. The pixie dust, right? I'm selling them an emotion of how they feel about me, that know, like, trust me, but also I'm getting them to feel what it would be like if they got to their future state. So we're talking about the deck. Well, what about a business service that helps someone? In this case, we have some clients that like help people go organically on social media to a million views in 30 days. Well, what would that actually look like for your business if that were to happen? Who do you become as a business owner when that happens? Who do you have to become in order for that to happen?
Oh man, that's so good right there.
Because the business owner you're speaking to today is not the one that's going to get 100 million views tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because if I was talking to that guy, he would already have that.
Yeah.
So we're not just selling pixie dust. We're selling the true transformation. But I can't say it's transformation because nobody wants transformation. I can't say to you what you're going to get because it means nothing. Here's a key in sales and leadership. Even when giving out ideas or you're wanting your team to do things, those who plan the battle you heard that plan the battle, win the battle, right? Mm-hmm. So it's the same thing is when you say something, it means something. When they say something, it means everything. What is that? What am I saying is when you get your employees to think, good leaders will make the employees come up with their ideas. Make them feel like the employee came up with the idea, not the leader. So instead of leader coming top down, it was the employee saying, this is what we need to do. But yet it was the leader directing that the entire time. That's the difference between good and poor leaders. That's one that I personally still am working on. I would never sit here and say I've mastered that. That'd be a lie. But it's something I've, gotten way better at and I continue, to grow on into. In sales, it's the same thing. I can't tell them how they're feeling. I can't say this is what's going to happen. They got to tell me how it feels. They got to tell me how it's going to work. And that's why I tell people you come from a consultative, a doctor frame kind of mindset. It's not me saying, you're going to sell this, or we're going to do this, we're going to do that. No. What do you think it's going to be like? Suppose I had, I don't know, the solutions. Or just say we started working with it together and we started doing X, 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 X so that you can get Y, 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 Y. Well, what do you think happens next? And that's the same as anything, no matter what level of business. That's what, like, this sales framework that I'm kind of giving here indirectly here is what the framework is. If you want to make impact, and as a result, you make your sales, and as a result, you make your commissions.
Okay. So, man, so much there to unpack. I want to go back to the leader here. I know you said you're still figuring this out.
Oh yeah.
But I would love for you to start, helping us understand as a leader, how can we start to communicate with our team in a way that makes it feel like, and not just makes it actually gets them to start doing things on their own. Because a lot of times, and I've seen this as I've led people myself, that they come to me to ask the question, and I'm always trying to coach them and get them to think on their own and let them know as well, like, hey, you can make a decision. I'm going to back you up. I'm not just going to be like, you suck, get out of here, you're fired.
So it's empowering. You're talking about, in one way, is empowering. Yeah. So one of the things that we do at my company is I don't give away tasks anymore. I give away projects and outcomes. So I give, if I need something done with my team, I tell them, here's the outcome I need. Not, here's what I want you to do. I did this in the beginning and it failed. You know what happens here? There's really negative. What happens here is you start cutting your team's legs from underneath them, and you don't know you're doing this. But it's the death by 1,000 paper cuts. And every time you just go, oh no, I'm going to do it. Oh, I'll do it. Oh, you're doing it wrong here. Oh, you're doing it wrong there. You start cutting away their creativity. They start losing their voice. They start getting complacent. That's when they either leave. That's when you're only getting 30% of output out of them. And then they start being miserable and they start resenting you, and they start really, messing up the business. I learned that the hard way because I was so controlling. I wanted everything done perfectly. And then I realized, what do I actually really want? Do I want it done perfectly, or do I just want the end result? So instead of saying, go do this task, it is, here's the outcome I'm looking for. Here's what we need to achieve, the result of. And then you give them the power to go figure it out. And you say to them, man, I'm here to help you, but you need to figure this out. Be resourceful. There's not a lack of resources, lack of a resourcefulness.
Yeah.
So that's one way that we learned how to do that. Another way too is, it's especially at the like director level, like at the higher important levels, like you got to hire people better than you. I was always hiring people. What I realized in my business too, when I was first growing, I was hiring people that were not better than me. So if you look at the collective group was only as good as I was. That's bad news bears. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't work. You want people that are, if I'm going to bring in a marketer, I'm bringing a marketer that's 10 times better than me. If I'm bringing a copywriter, I'm bringing a copywriter that's 10 times better than me. If I'm bringing in a sales manager, I'm bringing a better sales manager than me, even though I do sales management, right? I need a collective group needs to get better and raise the bar.
Yeah. Yeah. And you just can't be spread thin like that either.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I feel like I heard it on Dave Ramsey podcast, but I think it comes from somebody else that says, if you and your wife are exactly the same, one of you is not needed in that relationship.
Well, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah. But same thing in the business. If you have the exact same type of people, y'all aren't needed. Now, I understand it's a little bit easier to work with people similar to you, but they don't need to be literally exact copies of you, because then, you get no better. The company can't grow.
I'm a big football guy, and I know America knows football, right? So I always say this: the Patriots, the legacy team, if they had a bunch of Tom Brady's, do they win the Super Bowl? No, they don't. Right? It's curating the best team. That's, as a leader, your job is to curate the best team for the individual, for the task or the opportunity or the outcome you're looking for, and understanding that's like you're the coach, right? And then it's about how you get them inspired, and it's about how you get them to lead themselves, so that you're not always having to push them. They're pushing themselves, right? And how you do that is you've got to create culture. Culture is everything. And people say to me, well, I don't have a culture. That is a culture. Just like not making decisions is a decision. It's usually a bad decision too, right? So culture is a massive one. So our culture that we've created here at the Sales Connection today now is the culture of we're in the business of helping winners win more. And I'm looking for the athlete DNA types of people. And these are actually athletes, people who know how to win and lose, people who know that the greatest gifts you get is when you've lost the game. One of the biggest ones I always say is you're the type of person who rather lose the game and know you left it all on the field, nothing else to give, than you won the game, hold up that championship, but know inside there was more you could have given. You have the discipline, the fortitude, the resilience. You're not a snowflake. I hate saying that. You're not a snowflake. You understand there's probably going to be harder days than the good days, but that's life.
And would you say those are the characteristics that both salespeople and leaders need?
Yes.
You found that to be the best characteristics?
Yeah, definitely salespeople.
Yeah.
Salespeople have a resilience. They have a different mindset, right? They're not afraid to hear no. They know. They're like, I always say, imagine you're in baseball and you're a batter. Like I'm not big, an expert in baseball, but I know that they lose, like they miss the ball 80% of the time. 80% of the time they miss the ball. That means if all you did was your job 20%, you go to the NLB. You know what I mean? You become a professional baseball player.
Yeah.
If you just hit the ball 20%, that's the same thing as sales. That whole idea of always be closing, it's a bullshit concept. It's old, outdated concept. I will say ABC, but always be connecting.
Yeah.
Always be connecting to yourself.
I like that. Yeah.
Always be connecting to your prospect. Always be connecting to your products. Always be connecting to your higher self. Hell yeah, every day. But always be closing? No. Close ice to an Eskimo or rubbers to a monk. What? Why? They don't need that, right? And that's the thing. So I always tell people, I don't sell everybody. I sell the right somebody. And I go to bed every night feeling really good about it because I'm changing lives. Yeah. And I get to be in that power. When you're really good, you get to choose that power. You get to choose it for them.
So going to what we were going to talk about in here, I mean, a lot of awesome stuff. But when it comes to that leader really trying to communicate these intricate ideas, these sometimes as business owners, small business owners especially, we've got this new idea. It's the hottest thing ever. How do we get the team on board to start going with us on this journey? And hopefully we're not doing this every day where we've got some new hot idea.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is you don't want the yo-yo effect, right?
Yeah.
The yo-yo effect is what will kill the team dynamic too. How to effectively lead the team is having effectively have a clear objective. If the objective is not clear, then the messaging won't be clear. If the true North Star isn't clear, then then the messaging won't be clear. So the objective actually has to be super clear. Like, what are we trying to achieve? Who are we trying to achieve this for? How are we going to achieve this? And when will we get there? And the most important, how will we know KPIs? How will we know we're on track of getting there? That's part of the clear communication. Most business owners don't even have that clarity out for themselves. They don't know that. Another one I see business owners saying the same. They talk for half an hour and they could have said the same thing in 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 2 minutes.
Or just in an email, right?
Or just in an email. Absolutely. Meetings kill momentum. Meetings, absolutely. There's so much studies showing that now, that meetings kill momentum. I love, I think Elon Musk has a rule that I heard recently that if you are up at a meeting and you don't feel like you're getting value at that meeting, you're allowed to leave. And it's an indication to the person running the meeting if they're running a proper meeting or not.
Yeah.
So imagine I'm running a meeting with you. I'm running a meeting with my leaders, and all of a sudden people are just dropping off. That's an indication you're probably not, having the proper meeting, right? But let's go back to the clear communication. A little bit more of that. The clarity comes from your clarity. The clarity comes from the clear North Star and the how you're going to get there. Who's it for? What you're going to do. Most important, the KPI, the tracking of it. How do we know we're going to be on track? What happens if we get here and we're not on track? All of that needs to be so crystal clear on how you communicate to it. And KISS. I always say KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. You don't need to overcomplicate it. But then it's repetition. You got to continue daily and weekly the same message over and over. So much so that as the person who's delivering the message, you're so sick of it. You're so sick of it that you're just like, I can't believe I have to say this again. You got to continue doing it. And that's like one of the hardest ones as leaders. You're like, I said this how many times? You got to continue saying it. You got to continue saying it until they start saying it back to you.
Yeah. Yeah, which goes back to the culture, the core values, if you will. I kind of always lump those together within each other, that if you're not constantly repeating those things, people won't remember them, or it turns into that flavor of the month kind of thing. Or, okay, that's cool. Oh, okay, the leader went on. We're not talking about that anymore. Okay, no big deal. I'll regress back. And I forget exactly how it's said, but essentially there's like kind of two different ways. We rise to the level of our preparation, but then there's also one something along the same lines, like unless if we raise our bar, essentially we're always going to go back to whatever that natural state is. And so as we're trying to build this culture, it's like we're exceeding that natural state of being, but if we don't make that now the new bar because we didn't spend enough time on it, then we're going to go back to where we don't talk about it. And I can't think of that exact quote or phrase that's talked about with that, but we're always going to go back to the natural state of being instead of pushing forward. So we have to. Well,
another way of saying we always resort back to our comfort zone.
So
we need to get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right. Like if you're comfortable, you ain't growing. I'll tell you that much. If you are comfortable, you are not growing. It's an indication of growth. So you got to continue again to being uncomfortable. Get your team to also understand being uncomfortable is all about growth. I think the clear communication also comes from within. Truly, like again, I know we're being a little high level here, but that's the reality. Is if I'm not clear internally, crystal. I'm talking crystal, absolutely clear. I'll tell you, in sales, I call it the 3 C's. Okay, I have certainty, I have clarity, I have conviction. You don't have conviction without the other two. So am I absolutely certain on what I'm doing, where I'm going, why I'm going there? Is it absolutely clear of what this is, who it's for, the who, the what, the how, the when? And when those two are so apparent, you have something called conviction. And when you sell and you speak and you lead from conviction, that is when you become powerful. And that's not something you can teach. That's something you become. And you become and you believe that as a result of the things before, as a result of being absolutely clear and absolutely and certain on what it is you're trying to achieve and why.
Yeah, and that conviction is such a strong thing as well. And obviously if we're selling a product, we're not gonna necessarily die for it. But that's what I think of when I think of conviction. Something that you're willing to die for or fall on
Oh,
the sword for, if you will. Things of that nature. And that's really to the level we need to be, obviously not literally be ready to die for a product you're selling, high ticket sales, if you will, but you should be that ultimately convicted
yeah.
by that thing is going to work and change somebody's life. I want to go back real quick. I wanted to bring us up, and then I got a little sidetracked with this great conversation. But I think this will help us with the high ticket sales. You were talking in the psychology. You were talking about that one client, and feel free to use this same example or another one. But you talked about that client within 30 days would help you get to 1 million views, and I couldn't help but think about how it's like, oh, like that would be awesome. But then you mentioned like, yeah, you need to know what's that going to do for you? What's that going to do for your business? How is that going to work exactly? And those are questions that then I was already kind of thinking of them, and then you just spat them out, so I didn't have to fully form those thoughts in my head. But that's exactly kind of where my mind went. Like, okay, that's cool. And then it's kind of like, well, how much is that? And if somebody would be like, that's $10,000, then the next thing would be like, okay, well, one, I've never been there, so I don't know if I can do that. Two,
Yeah.
I don't really know how it's actually going to help my business.
Yeah.
And three, like, okay, once we're done with our 30-day program, am I going to go back to 10
Yeah.
views per video or what? So,
Love
so
it.
talk us
So
through that. I would love to hear that.
here's what I love right there. So that's what would happen. So you have all those objections. That's all resistance. That's all internal emotional behavior that's coming up, thoughts, fears, objections that are coming up because we didn't do the sales process.
Mhm.
And I just said to you, I sold you like some one line thing, but I didn't actually do the sales process.
Yeah.
The sales process would have eliminated that, because the sales process, I would have asked all those questions. I would have asked questions at the beginning of, tell me a little bit of your business. And then I wanted to know, are you working currently trying to get organic traffic? How long has that been going on for? How is that working? What's the result of that? Have you tried any other services to help you do that? How was it? What didn't work there? Once I get all the deepest pains, what's it preventing you from? What's it stopping you from? 3 levels of pain is very important. This is very important. You guys get this no matter what. Again, sales, leadership, selling your wives, your husband, your kids, your employees, anything. Understand 3 levels of pain. Number 1 is surface level. Most people sell or try to speak on surface level. Number 2 is financial, business financial level. Number 3, the most important, personal level. So let's just do this quickly, right? Mr. Business Owner, right? Like as a result of you having trouble, say, generating leads organically, okay, that's fine, but I can't do anything there. Okay, well, what's the impact it's having financially on the business? How long have you been investing into trying to create some organic strategy, but it's not quite working? How many dollars have you invested? What are you leaving on the table by not doing this? What about the 3rd level? Most important. As a result of the business not being able to crack this organic code and you not being able to potentially sometimes pay the bills or get a consistent income of stream of income, how's all this making you feel? Like how are you sleeping at night? Where's this keeping you up? Does your wife know about this? Does your husband know about this? Personal, more emotional. Then you bridge them to what I call the promised land. Well, suppose we can fix this. What does success look like to you? Okay, so success looks like this. Okay, great. Okay, what else? Okay, great. If all you did was get 3-4 extra more leads consistently a month, what did that equate to? Well, what's your service? Well, we charge 20 grand. Okay, so you're talking about 3-4 extra leads, or sales actually I should say, is a 60, 80 grand extra a month. Ooh, okay. What does $80,000 extra to the bottom line of the business look like? Okay. Then the most important is consequence. Well, what happens if you don't change this? What happens if you don't figure it out? How long can you keep going before something really breaks? How much money are you leaving on the table as a result of not moving forward? And that's it. And then you go into your presentation and then close. And at that point, the entire time, what I'm trying to do is I'm eliminating your ideology of time, your ideology of money, your ideology or thoughts or negative influence on, can I do this? You ask that yourself. Okay, well, let me ask you, if you had the strategy, because these guys do scientific, like I'm not going to get into it because I'm not here to sell it, but like they do a scientific study, and they learn everything. So imagine if we did what we do, which is our scientific approach, and we look at exactly what's going on in your market, and we look at what your competitors are doing, and we're looking at exactly what the viral trends are, and we came to you with four or five formats. Are you comfortable doing the exact scripts we're telling you that's going to get this attention? And are you going to show up the way we need you to show up to do that? Yes or no? Yes, I am. Okay, okay, great. Because if you say no, then I can't sell you. You're not going to do the work. I'm not going to sell you. I can't. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So I'm eliminating all that. So you can ask the question, do you believe that you're capable of it? This is good. I want to be honest. Do you believe you're capable of it? Because here's the thing. We can give you the format. I can give you the script. I can give you all the science behind it. But when you go film that and you don't believe you're capable of it, that still won't work, because it's going to come in your eyes. It's going to come in the energy, and it's going to not the video, whatever the modality content you're using will not work. Even when you're writing copy, it will come with the way you're writing your copy. So I eliminate all these resistance and objections. So now it really ever comes to money. The only objection I'll ever get is money. And it's either I really don't have the money, or they're saying money, but something else, which then I messed up somewhere along the way, and I got to figure that out. Usually when people say, I need to think about it, it really comes down to, I don't see the value here, or I don't have the money. Which one is it? Because if it's value, I did something wrong. If it's really the money, okay, well, suppose we can break this up into monthly payment plans. We have vendors that OPM other people's money. Money should never be the issue. If you want it bad enough, because people will buy what they want even when they don't have money. Think about this. People go buy expensive TVs they can't afford. They go buy expensive cars they can't afford. They go build decks they can't afford, but they do it because they want it bad enough, and they'll figure out a way to make it happen. If you value it enough, you'll figure a way to make it happen, regardless of having the money or not. And your job as a salesperson is to ensure that you are creating that value, and you're creating that gap, the dip between the pain and the pleasure land.
Man, so good. And I want you to translate this for our leaders to how they can communicate it. And maybe we use the example of implementing core values into the business. How can they sell that, so to speak, communicate that and get that buy-in from the team for them to be bought in on, now we're going to live by these core values, which just seems like a bizarre concept when you've never done them before. So how would a leader go about doing that?
Well, a leader needs to get clear on those core values, as I mentioned, right? Clarity is everything. So once you have that, the core values, then again, I don't know how tactical what you're looking for, but like eventually you got to get everybody on the same team and on the same mission. So you're going to announce it, right? Like you're going to do a big announcement and say, these are these are the 4 core values. Now, the great thing is, if you have a big leadership team, you should get them involved. So again, those who battle I forget, I'm butchering the quote, but it's those who battle or plan the battle the plan, right? Those who don't plan the battle plan. Meaning, if I create core values on my own and then I want my leaders to get behind them, but they didn't feel like they're part of them, they're not going to push them. They're not going to push them to their people. So get them part of the process, so everyone feels like they're part of the process. That's what I did. So everyone felt like they had some say in the core values of the business. Now, obviously, I'm guiding them the way I want it to happen, but I'm giving them the power to have a voice, and I'm making them feel like these are their core values. So I'll give you, instead of asking the question, how do you intricately say, I'll give you even something better. What I did was I sat down with my leadership team, and I asked them, what do they think leadership is to them? And I wrote it down. And I said, what do you think your best traits are as a leader? And I wrote it down. And I said, well, here's what I think your best. I think here's what makes you a great leader. And I wrote them down and got their clarity on that. So here's what I believe leadership is. Here's what I believe my traits of leadership is. Here's what my superior, my boss, the owner of the company believes me as a leader. I then printed that all in a nice canvas, beautiful design, all of that, and shipped it out to them. And they put it behind their wall, hung it up. So I don't need to tell them how to be a leader because they told me how they need to be a leader. They see it every day. I just, again, guided them to the destination because you don't want to push. Push leadership is horrible. I did that. Or top down leadership is just, it doesn't, I'm not a fan of it. I'm just not a fan of it. I think the best leaders are the leaders that can inspire. So how do you articulate your core values is for first you get them to be part of the process. And then you announce it to everybody and you say, here's all leadership. This is all with all of us. And the thing is, it's constantly doing it every single, whether it's weekly or daily. I know a team that does it daily. And it's to the point now where he'll just say, oh, hey, John, what's core value number 4? He says it. What does that mean to you? He says it. Right. And it's just constantly there. And I've seen it work miraculously. I've seen it work so like it gets everyone on the team mission. Just like every football team has a mission. They have a saying. Football team I played in university was find a way to win every day. Every day we heard it. Find a way. Win every day. Find a way. Right. And that was just ingrained. Like there's times you're like, okay, yeah. But it's ingrained in you. Like it's just ingrained in you. That's how you clearly, and it needs to be clear, concise. And that's a whole different, project, right? That's
I just want to hear kind of some of the psychology behind how you did it, as well as how you actually implemented everything. I think it's important for leaders to understand how to continue to do that, or how to just even start in the first place. But yeah, you're right. You have to kind of be beating that drum every single day. And yeah, you're going to get annoyed with it. People are going to get annoyed with it. But guess what? They're going to know it eventually, or they're going to get off the ship because they can't stand those core values or whatever. Exactly,
which is a great thing. They're going to get off the ship, and that's okay. Because and I tell people, so we have we put together what we call is our brand kit, and it's basically a 10-page document of like who we are, where we came from, what do we stand for, where we're going, what we're trying to achieve, what we represent, the people we're looking for. And before I hire anybody, near the last stages, I give them this brand document. Usually people use this after they hire somebody. I don't. I give it to them before. And I say, take a look at this and read this. And I'm going to be honest with you. When you go through this tonight and you don't feel something, like you don't feel energized, you don't feel like there's something in that stomach, that your knees start knocking, your teeth start chattering, the hairs on the back of your neck start standing up type of thing, then just be honest with me and there's no problem. Because I'll promise you this. If you don't, this is not the culture for you. And that's okay. Because I'd rather know now. And you'd rather save your time now. Because you can't fake culture. I've tried it. Doesn't work. Tried it many times. Me, even as an employee, being at a director level, faking the culture. Yeah, being part of it. But like, you can't fake it. You can't fake conviction.
Yep.
And if you don't have that conviction, you don't have that right energy set. And if you don't have the right energy set, you can't project clearly. The reason these people that speak on stage and you guys want to get on stage and you want to be powerful is because they speak from a state of clarity and certainty and conviction. They're so clear in their goal and what they're trying to achieve and their message that it becomes real. It becomes powerful, and they know who they're speaking to. So they don't care who's in the audience, not listening to them. They're not speaking to everybody in the audience. They're speaking to the right people in the audience. And those are the people that go, oh my God, those are the people that stand up and cheer. It's not the content that you're giving in the speech. It is how you make people feel as you're speaking.
Yeah, man. So on point with that. Yeah, it's about how you make them feel at the end of the day. And I guarantee that people are feeling pretty great about what you shared here. A lot of great content. If they want to be able to see more of this, I love the energy you have. Very excited. Obviously, you love sales. You love talking about this. So if people want to follow you and be able to learn more about this, learn more about you, where's the best place for them to go?
Kayvon.com, Kayvon.com. Very simple.
Awesome. Well, Kayvon, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, talking about this, really the psychology at the end of the day behind sales, behind leadership, and how we can communicate what we want to get the buy-in, whether it be selling high ticket or just leading a team to be able to get that buy-in from those people.
That's correct. Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. So thanks so much.
Yeah.